What is going on, guys? It's Amir Hussein, and I'm back with another video. So the topic on this video today is going to be a lot different from what I usually do. This is going to be a little bit of more of like an open discussion video with you guys. This is what we call a healthy discussion, a healthy video. And I'm going to be bringing on my friend NFT Nate onto this video. I'll leave his socials down below and all this stuff. And what we basically want to go over is what we see in this space right now. There's a few things in this space that are happening that are not the best, that are not the healthiest for the space. So we just want to discuss that. We just want to go over what we're seeing and like the problems with the whitelisting system. And obviously we all know that it's a huge monopoly at this point. And also we're going to be going over ways to get whitelisted, guys. There's so many different ways to get whitelisted. So we literally are going to cover all of that. And then also we're going to cover what we look for in quality projects, how to find quality projects, and what we think is going to help certain projects last for the long term. Because guys, right now, again, you can see the type of market that we're in. And if you don't know what type of market we're in a really deep, heavy flippers market where projects can get flooded super easily, when projects are only bought into just to be sold right before even the public sale. So it's a little crazy right now. And also I did want to go over the NFT volume right now because there's reasons why all of this is happening. What we see here, the thesis, what most people are thinking of what it is and what I think it is that obviously we did see tons of hype from certain projects, and the hype is slowly dying out for those projects. And then at the same time, people are waiting for the other hyped up projects to come out. We have Happies, WGMI Interfaces, Invincible Friends. I already talked about these before, but people are going to be saving up their money for these projects because right now there's just not enough good projects, and the volume is really low for sure. We see tons of lower volume. There hasn't been a project where we're like, wow. And then also another thing I want to go over for this little bit drop off in volume, almost pretty much a cut in half of volume, is there's tax loss harvesting season right now where people are cutting their losses, taking a loss on an NFT trade because they want to get a tax write-off and they can pay less taxes. And for me, I live in United States. The taxes can be extremely hefty, up to like 45% sometimes with these NFTs and cryptos. So people are trying to find ways to cut their taxes, and there's many different ways you can do this, but a lot of people are using this method to pay less. So again, there's many different factors. People are saying, oh, we're in a bear market, da da da. We're really not, guys. If you want to know what a bear market looks like, this is what it looks like. So we're definitely not in that at all. And literally just yesterday, we did $81 million in volume. And that was a cool day. That was like a really calm day. No one was really going crazy. Everyone was saying the market was boring. So guys, I just say take it easy. If you're heavily invested, then yes, there might be something to worry about. But myself, I'm such a firm believer in this space. I'm heavily invested and I don't really have anything to worry about. But again, everyone's situation is different. So, don't believe when people are saying, oh, it's bull run coming, bull run, oh, we're going to the moon. Guys, keep a clear head, make your own decisions. This is a space where a lot of people just follow what other people are doing, which again is not a problem. But if you keep on doing that, and if you can't think for yourself, eventually you're just going to keep on getting screwed over, guys. So again, I want to keep this as an open discussion. Everyone says, how do you get rich in the NFT space? People ask me, Amir, how did you make money in NFTs? Guys, there's many different things to it, but I really did put an insane amount of time in this space. I've contributed to this space a good amount at this point, and I am a builder in the space. And I've made money in many different various ways in this NFT space. And one of the ways was, yes, flipping NFTs. That's great. Also, I've had some NFTs that I bought onto and I haven't sold yet. So that's unrealized gains. Yeah, that's cool too. But the greatest thing of all is when you build in the space in terms of creating something important, creating something valuable to people, where it's not just another, oh, here's a project. It's a game. Everyone buy it, please. No, guys, you guys have to actually contribute to this space in many different ways. And there's so many different cool innovations happening right now. And you guys are not realizing also, you guys can be solving problems in this space and earning money while doing it. There's people who are creating bots right now to solve problems in Discords for NFT projects, and they're making an insane amount of money doing it. So guys, again, you're not realizing how much money there really is to be made. You guys are all stuck on flipping NFTs, which is what everyone else is doing. But the real money to be made in the NFT space is by building on the NFT space, not flipping and taking away from the NFT space. So what you're doing basically by flipping is you're taking away from the space. And sometimes by flipping so many projects, sometimes you can hurt an actual project that had this intention to actually build something great in the space. And they build the capital. A lot of these projects get the capital that they need by selling out on these projects, but they're not able to build because they just get FUD so hard. And it's very hard to actually build on top of a project when the floor price is so low. And we all know that, people stay active in a community as long as the floor price is pretty reasonable or decent or a good amount above the floor price. But again, guys, building in this space is going to be the future. You guys, if you guys are here for a long-term outlook, and I really do recommend you stay in this space for a long-term mindset and vision, you're going to be able to make insane amount of money, either from hundreds and thousands to millions. And again, we're very early, so that's why I'm saying this right now. This can totally change and not apply to anyone anymore, maybe a few months down the line. But for now, guys, there's so many things you can do. And there's people who created AI algorithms within NFTs and like AI NFTs and robotic NFTs, and there's just so many different things you guys can do to actually bring value to people's lives. And one thing that really does create a good product is a product that solves problems, right? So let's say an alpha group NFT, one of my projects, Dark Echelon, right? That project actually solves people's problems. So people need to gain information, people need to get onto whitelist. What solves that problem? Dark Echelon, for example. So this is just an example, guys. People want to get onto whitelist and stuff. People want to, know more about the NFT space. They want free coaching. Okay, cool. Get onto Dark Echelon. You have all your problems solved. Now, great. Now let's focus on the next problem so we can fix that and keep on building on the space. So this is what it is, guys. It's very simple. Just solving problems and continuing to build in the space. Be innovative and be creative. We did this on Web 2. We're going to do the same thing on Web 3. There's a lot of people, skeptical about like, oh, Web 3, what is this? Is this even going to be a thing? Are the big corporations going to own it? For now, guys, I wouldn't worry. I would just keep on building. You can't control what people are going to say in the media in the short term because, again, this is a long-term vision. I do heavily believe in metaverse. I do heavily believe in the social aspect of what we can bring to the metaverse and how huge it could actually be when people are buying things online in the metaverse, which is going to be insane. That's where I think a lot of the e-commerce is going to head towards. So this is going to be an insane space, guys. There's so many things to take advantage of. Always within an ecosystem, there's many different ways to make money. And this entire ecosystem is amazing. It's still so small and so new. That means it's still a small niche. You guys have so much opportunity. So again, I'm just trying to bring light to people who are only thinking about flipping NFTs and they think that's the only way to make money, which again, it's not. So I just wanted to put that out there. And I just want to let you guys know I'm not a genius or anything, but I just understood how to solve a problem and I was able to make a big chunk of money, which again is not really for me. It's kind of being reinvested back into the project, but still, that is just an example for you guys. You can make stupid money. And like for me, I'm only 18 and I'm able to figure out and solve these problems. So there shouldn't be too many excuses for you guys. And so on top of all of this, one of the most important things is to build connections in the space, guys. Building connections is the same thing as building your network, which is your net worth eventually. And so on top of that, guys, I really do think that everyone should be trying to build connections and relationships with people in this space as much as possible. There's tons of quality people. And for me, I've met so many people that have just changed my life within the NFT space by telling me this certain amount of information or giving me this other connection to a different person, which helped me with this certain thing. So guys, there's so many different things. I've met realtors, I've met dentists, I've met doctors, I've met web designers, animation teams, all throughout NFTs. And now these are going to be long-lasting relationships for the rest of my life. And even NFT Nate, who's going to be coming onto this video, I met him through NFTs, guys. So you never know what's going to happen in the future. You never know who you're going to run into. There's opportunities that can change your life. I really do promote collaborative efforts. I'm really keen on that. I'm really big on that. And I really do encourage you guys to figure out ways to build onto the space besides creating your PFP project, which you are just only making to make a couple bucks, which again, you're not going to last in this space. My goal is to be in this space for the longest amount of time possible, to get the most out of this entire space, to build the greatest relationships. And guys, this should be your goal, a long-term vision. Again, guys, the real money is made over the long term, not overnight. Again, you can make $1 million overnight, but if you had the short-term vision, you're going to miss out on that $50 million you could have made within the next couple years by taking the right steps and building something huge. So you guys are missing out on the bigger picture constantly. I see it when projects don't sell out. They go, they basically just leave the project. They rug pull it because it didn't sell out. So again, guys, I don't want to keep on rambling on too much. I know it's going to be a long video, but make sure you guys go subscribe down below before we get into this discussion with NFT Nate. His socials will be down below. So now let's get into this discussion with NFT Nate. All right, guys. So now we have Nate here. I want to bring on Nate. He's a super genuine guy in this space. He's one of my close friends in this space. So what's up, Nate?
Hey Mia, thanks for having me. Thanks for having a chat. I know the time zones are a little bit different, but with
Yeah,
NFTs, we're always up, never sleeping. True
never sleeping.
degenerates.
Geez, yeah, it's like 5 a.m. here. But what I wanted to go over were a couple things. I have a few solid things that I would like to bring to the audience, bring some value to this video today. I want to go over a few bullet points, and one of the first things I have is something we discussed on our own. It was the
Mm.
problem with whitelist right now and how they're being given away on Twitter and all that stuff. I just want you to explain in depth what your analysis is on this and how it's been negatively affecting projects.
So there's a thesis that I've kind of started to come up with, and it's the reason that I reached out to me was that I had this idea that because there are lots of whitelist giveaways done on Twitter, and it's starting to become a trend because it's giveaway, like a project will do a lot of whitelist giveaways on Twitter, which is very easy access to kind of boost the profile of the project. Because with a Twitter giveaway, they're going to get a lot of engagement, a lot of followers, and it's just going to boost the brand very fast. But what the thesis that I'm having is that it's very low effort entry to then do a retweet, do a like. So someone can across the board like, retweet all of these projects whitelist, which means that they're not actually engaged with the project, which means that when they are getting the whitelist spot, they're not invested in the project. They're not invested in that brand and the story. And it's a quick, easy flip, which then means the true people that are holding onto it, looking at it and then seeing it absolutely drop. But then also the volume of whitelist, because we're starting to see a trend, or at least I'm seeing the trend where there are a lot of, it's almost 50 to 75% whitelist, which then means that the public sale is next to nothing. But if 70% of these people are getting it in their hands and they're looking to flip it, you're almost getting the whole project flipped before you're even getting to the public sale, which then means that you're kind of changing the dynamic of the holders. And if that happens, it sort of slows the momentum down for the actual sort of public sale and then the reveal itself. Because usually what happened is there'd be, if it was a 10,000 profile picture project, to be whitelist of 1,000. Those would be the hardcore fans, the people that sort of really dedicated and love it, the people that would never flip it or sell it, which meant that on the secondary market, something that went for 0.08, there'd be huge markups on people that did want to flip. But then when it got to the public sale, there was enough supply there for the public to actually get their hands on it, because even if there was some sort of gas war, it's a little bit easier when there's a supply of 9,000 going to the public. But when there's a supply of 1,000, that's gone in a minute or two, which means that people are really pumping it hard, which then sort of reduces the enthusiasm for the retail investors. And the retail investors are the people that are going to jump in and support that project, because when it comes down to a whale, they're not going to jump in and support that project. And I think the sort of retail investors, and I'm not saying sort of me and Amir are whales, but it's like we're retail investors. We're not sitting here with 1,000 ETH bags like pushing the market. And we're kind of catching on the fact that this is happening, and we're having conversations with other people, and word spreads really fast. And it's starting to almost feel like the sentiment's changing, where people are getting onto whitelists and then seeing quick flips happen before you get to the public sale. And it's almost the project's dead before, and this is like, it can be a hyped project. The project's dead before you almost get to a public sale, because you know that it's left the hands of the people that were supposedly fans, and the people that didn't get on the whitelist that are fans are like, well, the fans aren't liking it, which then brings down that morale. So that's the kind of thesis that I'm starting to kind of bring forward. And it's very hard because it's a very new aspect when it comes down to it. And we've still got a few more projects to run out to see if this thesis is correct. And then at that point, I think projects will adapt, but it's something that you kind of like seeing on the horizon. And if you haven't been in the space, you wouldn't notice this, because if we were in this position right now, sort of 3 or 4 months ago, these projects would be sort of selling out, flying off the shelves, absolutely crazy. But it's weird to see these numbers and the volumes that are happening, but not having that backed up. That's just something that I'm kind of seeing, and it's nice to kind of vocalize it. And it's the reason I reached out, because I saw it. I'm like, Amir, what are you thinking? And that's how we kind of ended up in this conversation here, because this is how alpha works. When people kind of throw around the term, oh, I want to get some alpha, it's a thesis, it's an idea that kind of gets passed around between people that have seen it before. And if all those patterns are realized and all these boxes are ticked, like that's like your sort of top alpha right there. It's the idea. It's almost like that, the idea of inception, where you put it, that little thing in there, spreads around. And it's like, okay, that is the aspect that is sort of coming to fruition. It's coming true. Okay, now we need to adapt and work on a plan to avoid getting caught up in that trap.
Yeah, so basically, me and Nate have been in this space for a while, and we've been seeing, the different cycles of how projects do their release, right? And even back then, projects would release, right? And they would just sell out right away. Like every single project back then used to sell out right away. And then what would happen is that they would probably, after their public sale, there would be a supply shock, right? And then the floor price would just pretty much go up every single time for every project. But now we live in a different world, and now there's a lot of projects doing these Twitter whitelist giveaways, strictly only a Twitter whitelist giveaway, or a huge amount of their whitelist is from the Twitter giveaways. And it's not really the healthiest thing from what we've seen so far in the sample size that we've had. Again, it's very small, but this is like a new experiment. Again, everything in the NFT space is still very early on, but like we're experiencing this new little trend of these whitelist giveaways, and it's insane. And one project that I was super bullish on, just from the engagement and what I usually track in terms of like metrics and data, looking at projects through like their Twitter and their Discord, and like how I can tell in patterns of how they're gonna perform. We saw Divine Wolves, huge example. Insane. This is from my experience. I lined this up. It had all the green flags, all the green check marks. They didn't do anything to FUD their project. A little bit of like a rough release, you could say. It wasn't the smoothest, but it was still a release where there was no problems with like hacking or anything. There was no stupid FUD or anything. It was just something with the website. But besides that, they really crashed within a day. And that's, people get the whitelist on Twitter and they just see this as a cash out opportunity. And a lot of people on Twitter, when they're entering for the whitelist giveaways, people who enter for the whitelist giveaway, the actual demographic of those people are a certain type of people, and I don't think we're realizing that. And again, there's no problem with those type of people. It's just you have to know how to balance it, and we have not been balancing it. And you do get a lot of followers from doing the Twitter whitelist giveaways. That's why it's so attractive to do it for projects. It boosts their numbers, it hyperinflates their actual hype, and then boom, here's what happens. We've seen it a couple times. So with what Nate said, with we got to see, for a couple more projects to go to see if this is going to be the continuous trend. Yeah, this is something that we're seeing. We just want to make this aware to you guys. Again, we're our job is to read patterns and bring it to you guys so we can, update you guys with what's going on in the space. But that's what we're seeing. So, yeah, I'm glad we could speak about that. Now, I also wanted to get into ways to get onto the whitelist. So for me, I used to be like the guy who was in the freaking chat all day long, right? I would for months and months, like 5 months ago, 4 or 5 months ago, I used to be in the chat all day long. I remember for one project, I spent like I think 20 something hours grinding on the whitelist for like 4 days straight. It was insane. So I know what it takes to get onto whitelist. I used to do it myself. Now, since I have a privilege, a little bit of like an audience now, it's a little bit easier for me to get onto whitelist. With getting onto the whitelist for projects for the average person, for the person who's entering the space or has been in the space and just wants to get on the whitelist, very simply. Can you give us some ways that a person can use their creativity or just in general get on a whitelist?
So one thing that I've seen, and I'm super happy about this, is that I put up a video on Hate Beast, and like that project is just it's hyped to the max. But what has happened is some new people in the space watched the video. They then joined the servers, and instead of just being in the main general chat, they were taking photos. They were kind of making fan art. They were contributing to the space with the way that they contributed, which meant that the people would see some photography, they would see some graphic design, they'd see some artwork, the mods, and they'd be like, hey, Stevo24 is contributing in a way that makes sense. And you can tell that he's a genuine, authentic person. And this is actually how I ended up getting onto the hate list. And it's actually crazy is I made a video, which then meant that people in the servers were making sort of content contributing meaningfully to those projects. They would then say, hey, I'm here because of Nate's video, which then brought the attention of my video to the mods, which then meant they were like, hey, we want to reach out, because I wasn't trying to do it to get onto a list. I was just trying to share the news. But I had impacted those people in a way that then made that sense of community bigger and better. So when it comes down to it, it's not just being in the general chat spamming, it's not just on Twitter kind of putting up a meme and going like, when whitelist, it's contributing in a meaningful way, and it's quality, not quantity. And that's where people will kind of see through it. You've got that aspect. And the other aspect, which I'm more transparent about and just sort of pushing people towards it, is another way to kind of get onto whitelist is to get into an alpha group that has access to whitelist. Because when it comes down to it, if you're sort of in your mid 20s, sort of mid 30s, and you've got a job, you've got the family, you can't be spending sort of 6-8 hours a day in Discords grinding and trying to do that. Another sort of shortcut aspect is kind of hitting up these kind of groups, a group almost like Dark Echelon, and being there, because you then got someone like Amir going out there and kind of doing the work, building these relationships, then kind of coming back and going, hey, here's where it is. And this sounds like a shameless plug, but when it comes down to it, me and Amir, we're friends with all of the other YouTubers, and they give value to their communities the exact same way, because people can get good quality information and they don't necessarily have to go through and be essentially, I'm not saying a nobody, that sounds like a bad term, but essentially being sort of one person in the crowd. You're essentially a part of a group, which really does help. And it seems like it might be hard work. Like you're thinking, oh, so I now need to learn how to draw, or I need to kind of pay money to get into a group. But it needs to be, if you really just say you really like sort of rapping and you like kind of just freestyling, why not put together a freestyle? If it's what you're doing, if you're driving a forklift and that's what your 9 to 5 is, why not on your lunch break bust out a freestyle, put it up? And then at that point, those projects see that and go, this person cares about the project. Because what's going to happen is me, all these other sort of influencers, and I use that term loosely because we do have an influence, but it feels sort of wanky to say that. We're going to be pushing people to only let people on the whitelist that are meaningful. And eventually this dynamic will flip, where projects are only going to want people on there that have contributed. Now, it's super easy to get a Leo sipping from like the Leo meme where he's just like laughing and put some text on it, but it's hard to kind of put yourself out there creatively when it comes down to a whitelist spot, and it's going to go to them. And that's the way that I kind of see it, because if I was to release a project, the whitelist spots are going to meaningful holders, because you want to have a community and you want to build that up. You want people to have an emotional connection, not just a flip mentality. As soon as there's an emotional connection, it's off to the races. There's a reason that a big project like Bored Ape is going, because it's a brand and there's a connection that everyone has with it when they see it and they want to be a part of it. They don't care about flipping it. They care about being a part of it. And that's where it comes down to it. How can you show that project that you want to be a part of it without showing that you kind of just want to flip it for some cash?
Basically, guys, no matter what you really want to do, no matter what your intentions are, using your creativity, using some skill out of being just like everyone else. Because if you're just like everyone else, you're gonna probably get the same results as the other 500 guys typing in the chat all day as you. You're gonna get the same result. You're probably not gonna get the whitelist. So if you can just actually, it's if you were to think about it, Nate, it takes less time to create some fan art really quick, or mock up a really quick animation, or mock up a quick video of you outside doing a freestyle to singing about a certain project, or you can make a poster and go out in the street and hold a sign of this and show it on
Oh, have
Twitter.
you seen that? Have you seen
Yeah,
that girl
WGMI
going around?
interfaces. Yeah,
Yes.
those
Yeah.
guys DM me. Yep, those guys
Yeah.
beg me to post their stuff. I'm like, 100%. I see you guys are grinding. Let me help you out get the
Mm.
WGMI whitelist for sure. You guys are doing cool stuff. I like the idea. So I tweeted it out. I'm like, hey, help these guys out. So just this as an example, guys, literally, it's very simple. And I'm sure there's 5,000 other guys out there that are, just typing all day. Don't be like that, guys. It's very simple. It's the one thing, it's very simple. It's called be different and be creative, and you will get that whitelist for a certain project, no matter how big or how hyped it is. It's very simple to stand out in this market. First of all, not a lot of people. And then second of all, lots of saturation because everyone does the same thing. Okay, guys. So now we're gonna get into like my way, and Nate's gonna explain his way on how we've been finding projects, at least quality projects that we would want to at least get on the whitelist for recently. the markets have been really shaky right now. It's been a little bit jolty from here to there, and it's just been very not consistent right now. So you guys have to be careful with this because the market sentiment can change at any second. So just make sure you keep that in mind. But at the current moment, on the current market situations, on how we've been finding quality projects for me, is I've been looking into projects as Twitter. That's one of the main things I look at. I've explained this many times, but it's very simple on how I look into the Twitter. There's certain ways you can look on a Twitter instead of just like looking at it. You got to look into certain deeper things. For me, I look into follower engagement ratio from like followers to likes, and then like likes to comments, and then you look at the comments, you see if these comments are genuine. So like, let's say if a project had 10,000 followers, you would want to see, let's say they make a tweet, you would want to see some type of excitement, right? So you want to see this excitement either on the Twitter or on the Discord, again, Instagram, and whatever other people use. I don't know what they use, but all these other platforms, it's not really the hub for NFTs. You want to find people where the actual real NFT degens are, right? Because the NFT degens are usually the people who are respectively holding onto these projects and not really trying to flip it right away. We see from the Instagram world, people are really just flippers. They have this type of culture with like diamond hands and paper hands. That's the only words that they know, that they've been saying. And no shade on those type of people, but I've just been seeing that it's not the most healthy thing for the space. So I'm looking at their Twitter, and then from their Twitter I go on their Discord. I take a look at their Discord. I'm looking for actual genuine engagement. We want to see a fine line of people actually being creative in there, helpful, trying to contribute to the project. And just overall, I want to look at also the online members to the actual members of the actual project. So like, let's say you can click on their Discord stats. You just click this, like where you would click to invite someone on Discord. You can see how many people are online, and then how many people are actually in the server, like just in members in general. So usually if there's like 10,000 people and you only see 1,000 people online, it's not a good sign. And no matter what time zone you're in the world, it should pretty much be within like that 30% percentile of people always online. Again, it's not going to apply to every single project, but like that 30% is like a threshold that you want to see. If it's anything below that, then you kind of want to watch out. But just overall, that's kind of like some of the things I look for. And then we look a little bit deeper into like team and roadmap and those type of things. But again, that doesn't really matter too much, because in this type of market, that's what we have to look for. And again, it's sad. Some good quality projects like My Pit Hooligan performed extremely well. We predicted that. That was more of like a longer term play. But you don't want to get into projects that are getting their Twitter made and everything, and then like a week later they release. It's a little bit sketch. But I want to hear Nate's point of view for this. We can go deeper and deeper, but I just want to hear Nate's point of view.
Yeah, to piggyback off what Amir is saying, when it comes down to the sort of Twitter engagement and sort of the real engagement, it comes back to is there some fan art there? Is the engagement, are people posting stuff and tagging them in when it comes down to Twitter? Because if there are people out there that are doing these freestyles, that are doing some fan art, then those people are heavily invested in the project, which shows that that project may have the longevity, because you're not going to necessarily have the flippers. Because if you've got some real people that are in the community trying to get onto the whitelist and build up the project, then that's going to be a good thing. Same thing when you're in the Discord. Is there some negativity going on in the general chat? And what's the consensus and response from that? Because what you may see is someone asks a tough question and then they're gone. And you're like, did that person get booted? Because at that point, if someone asks not necessarily a bad question, but just a critical question, and the team don't have the answer, and they get sort of kicked or booted off the server, you can then see that as a red flag. But if someone may be speaking irrationally and you're looking at them going, hey, this person's angry, but you have the mods and the sort of owners of the project, but then also the community backing that up, then you know that it's a family there. Because I think a really easy way to kind of tell is that if you're in a server and there's one angry person there and everyone's like, hey bro, chill out, you're all good. Now here's the answer, here's how to find it, then you've found that family. But if you're not seeing that, and I guess that's that deeper dive into what sort of authentic real communication is when it comes down to a Discord may be. And I think the other thing is, what is the team doing differently? Because I have seen some projects that maybe have like a closed off Discord, but it's a sense where they let sort of a flow of people through at a time. So they want you to have notifications turned on Twitter so they can release a tweet and there's a little puzzle to get into it. And they're trying to build some intrigue, because it's very hard for just sort of Stacy from down the road to just stumble into that project. She just can't see the Discord link, click on it, type in when whitelist, get whitelisted, and then that's simple. If they need to put in some effort and some work to then get into a Discord or get into it and follow it, that's another thing. Because I use the term closed off Discord, but it's more like it's a puzzle and it's a game to get into it and have some fun. That's where I feel like you know that a project has a little bit more longevity. It might not have the crazy huge blow off top hype, but it's not going to have that blow off top and crash back down. It's going to have that steady rise up. Because when it comes down to it, a project is only as good as the community that's around it. So looking for what is different. And that's why I feel like when we had the Wolf game hype, that was a different kind of project. And people like all the OGs in the space, all the real good people were like, this is interesting. This is different from what I'm usually seeing. Let's move into that. And I think that's another aspect. If there's something that's happening that seems different from somewhere else when it comes down to the way that they're communicating, their Discord, their Twitter, that may be the green flag to investigate further. Because if it's the exact same sort of copycat sort of profile picture project or Wolf game style project, you can then maybe think that they're trying to chase the hype, when you're trying to find the project that's got that's going to be in the next iteration of hype. Now, I know it sounds a little bit esoterical and it doesn't sound very ABC, but the market changes and swings so fast that it's hard to give you an exact follow this formula to work it out, because once people work out that formula, it changes over and over. And that's not going to help if you're watching this video in 2 or 3 weeks' time. The market may have flipped and it's changed and it's completely different. And that's why we're trying to not give you a hard and fast ABC that you need to do, because if you're watching this when it's not this current climate right now, then it will just hinder you. And that's not what we want. We just want you the best for you when it comes to the NFT space.
Yes, and what Nate is saying is literally the most constant trend possible, right? We see what he was referring to is derivative projects, which is just projects that copy other projects. Like we see it a lot with punks. We see it a lot with Wolf Game now. We have the ape derivatives. Everyone's trying to make an ape project. So that's just going to continuously happen. And the only reason why those are made is because people are believing, oh, it can perform the exact same way as that project did. Let me get into this. It might be able to do it, right? And we see on Instagram, if you hop on Instagram, what you see a lot is people saying, oh, like let's say there's a theme page, right, for NFTs. What they're going to be posting for their paid promotion is they're going to be posting on projects, and it's going to say, oh, this is the next crypto punks. This is the next Bored Apes. And it's just like you're attracting the audience that is so vulnerable and that doesn't know what they're doing. And they come here, they come on Discord and they're like, oh, moon, moon, moon. So you guys want to be careful with that. Again, we can name every red flag and green flag in the world, but most of it comes to like common sense and intuition on like what you see. If it just doesn't look right. And again, I know a lot of people don't know what is supposed to look right, but you just have to spend time in the space. And again, we as creators, we do preach alpha groups, and there's so many different types of alpha groups, and a lot of solid projects that usually they're a little bit of a higher floor price. We see solid alpha groups within these profile picture or any types of projects that do have solid communities. So if you heard like of like a notorious names in the space like cyberkongs or something, you go on their Discord, all you see all day long is quality people actually contributing to the community. So this is what you want to look for. If you want to take a look at a project and what you're supposed to be looking for, go into one of these notorious projects is Discord. Go into like a newly released project that performed well and is maintaining a floor that's pretty decent. Go in their Discord, see what it's supposed to look like, because they did perform well and they took all the right steps to have a successful project. So if you need the exact words, go in their Discord, find a pattern, find what's good and find what's bad by going into a different project and seeing where the miscorrelations are there, because you're going to see completely different things in trash projects. You'll see all the red flags in the world. And again, I'm sure you guys have some common sense on what some red flags are, but again, you can only really interpret and pick up the real red flags by being active in the space. So that's what we wanted to bring. Nate, is there anything else on like quality projects that we should be speaking about right now?
I think when it comes down to a quality project, something that I'm realizing more and more is the intent of the community or the intent of the buyer. If you can, and this is a very hard read, if you can find out what the intent of the community or the intent of the person that you're going to be kind of buying with the whitelist off or in the public sale off, that is your indication of where the project will go. And it sounds very esoterical. It doesn't sound too tangible, but the intent is, if you're talking to people and they're talking about floor and talking about the flip that can happen, then that person is going to flip it and make sure that they sell their bag before yours. If people aren't talking about the flip, they're not talking about the price, but they're talking about something else, then you know that you're with someone that doesn't care. When you have a look, and I've had this conversation before with people, someone goes, why does the floor drop on some of these projects, but a Bored Ape or these blue chip projects go up? And it's like a blue chip holder doesn't need to sell their holding because they see the NFT in that community and that project that they're in as a forever thing. They don't see it as a way to make money. They see it as a way to have a group of friends and a community. If the group that you're going into needs money and sees this as a way to make money, then they're not going to make money. They're just going to undercut you and then ensure that you're left holding the bag. If you go into a community where people don't care about the money, you're going to make money. That's essentially it.
And that is also why we see, adding on to what you said, pretty much the same subject. When we see communities advertising, oh, we have a bunch of cyberkongs in our community, oh, we have a bunch of Bored Apes in our community, it does mean something. Again, not every single circumstance it's going to mean something, but in a lot of the cases, what that means is that there potentially is a lot of buyers in the project that are probably going to pick up more than one of their NFTs, that are higher capital individuals or higher Ethereum net worth individuals that are going to probably hold on to the project because they don't need the money, because they already have either a high net worth or they already have a huge collection of expensive NFTs. Why would they need to sell an NFT for half Ethereum if they already have 100 Ethereum? So that's the concept of like what you guys probably hear sometimes of like, oh, there's Bored Ape holders in here, or oh my God, there's Cyberkong holders. So again, not every circumstance. We're just telling you guys this as an example. We see a project. I think there was a project that had I'm not going to say the name, but there was a project that was hugely advertising Cyberkong's partnership and they've completely tanked. So it doesn't apply to everything, but it does apply to a lot of projects. So yeah, guys. So these type of things are key and crucial to finding solid projects. We didn't list the A to Z process. What we did is we gave you guys a formula, what to look for. You guys can either go look at it yourself, or we did give you guys a few good points. So besides that, Nate's actually one of the smartest and most genuine guys in this space that I know. I'm going to leave his YouTube channel. He has a YouTube channel and his Twitter. You guys, please go check that out. I tell you guys all the time to stay in contact and stay following reputable people at all times. These are the people that you're going to need in this space, because they're not going to take $10,000 to promote a project here, or they're not going to do something stupid just to get a little bit of extra clout. So, Nate, any last words?
Stay wealthy.
Guys, stay wealthy, stay healthy. Nate, thank you so much for coming out, man. I'm going to hope for another video. So I'll see you in the next one, man. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching the entire video. I know it was a little bit of a longer one, but again, guys, this type of information is what's going to help you be successful in this space, whether it's, learning how to get onto a whitelist or understanding the current market dynamic at a certain point to be able to make your own decisions based off what the market conditions are. So again, there's so many different things. Even at the start of the video, what I was saying about building in this space, These types of things are so important, and I really do think you guys should be understanding the broad view of this entire space besides just the flipping part. So what I'm going to be doing is definitely using this channel to talk more about building and talking more about the business side of NFTs. And I really do hope you guys bring some innovative ideas, and please feel free to DM me on Twitter. Feel free to leave a cool comment down below on what your guys' ideas are on like what you want to do in this space, and just tell me what you guys plan on doing in this space and what your intentions are. So that's going to be it for today's video, guys. And thank you to NFT Nate for hopping on the video. That was super cool. We were able to talk about a bunch of important topics. I'm very glad we were able to do that. Guys, subscribe down below. Go subscribe to Nate. Like the video. Do all that stuff. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I appreciate every single one of you. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.